The following has been brought to you by SJP World Media.
What?
You're listening to In the Corner with Benny Mac. Unfiltered, uncensored, and unforgiving. Here's the man in the corner, BenNny Mac.
Welcome back to In the Corner. Welcome back to SJP World Media. Appreciate you very much hitting that download button and joining me once again here on the SJP World Media podcasting network thingy, whatever it's called. I should know that. I should have got it right because today, not only do we have Tyler. Tyler is back with me. How you doing, buddy?
I am doing great, Benny. I'm excited about this show, and as always, it's always a tremendous honor to be in the corner with Benny Mac.
Thank you very much. And the boss man is here, Mr. SJP himself, Si. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing very well, boys. I'm doing very well. All this, the boss man stuff has got to stop.
Okay, in that case then.
I appreciate the kind words, but yeah.
In that case then, this is the most...
Well, I'm just sucking up. That's all.
Yeah, that's all we're doing, Si. Well, when that money starts rolling in, man, we're waiting for it, man. That's what we're waiting for.
Trust me, I'm waiting for it too.
Yeah, me too.
Either that, what I was going to say was they're probably the most evilest tag team in history. Si and Ty, indeed, they are evil, and they're on the In the Corner podcast.
I am. I'm very bad. That's great. Let's market that, trademark it. I want it on T-shirts. That's how the money's going to come.
I tell you what, Si, you got to start making some T-shirts for this show, man. Honestly, you got more pull than me. Mine didn't sell at all, and the Scone Wars ones I did, Si, ended up getting taken down because Disney said I had to take them down because of the Star Wars thing. It's unbelievable, and that's not even fake story.
At least you got noticed by Disney.
Yeah, but no money, man. No money at all.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Well, I worked it out today. This isn't your bog standard In the Corner. This is like a special episode, which we do on occasion. So technically not episode 36, but what I did look at earlier, this is actually the 40th episode of In the Corner, even though it's not the daily, the daily one or the weekly one. Sorry, but overall, This is the 40th episode of In the Corner. So thank you to you guys for jumping in and having a chat with me, basically, over about some Raw being 30 years old. So,
oh man,
you're very welcome.
30 years of Monday Night Raw absolutely blows my mind. I mean, before we jump in, I just want a little bit of a clarity for everyone. People may have heard it on other shows on SJP World Media as well, but next door's cat has a habit of going to sleep in my bedroom. He doesn't bloody live here.
Okay.
Right, but when it gets cold, he decides to come upstairs and go to sleep in my bedroom, and he goes dead weight, and you can't move the bugger. So if you and he purrs and snores crazy loud. Currently he's on my lap, and I can't move him. So if there's a funny noise, that's what it is. So
it's
I
not you
apologise
farting,
in advance. No, it's not.
Oh man,
I think it's great.
Well, I appreciate you both coming on. We're going to talk. We're just literally, we were talking via the DMs and stuff, but I kept mentioning things, and Si was like, stop, I've got too many on the list. For the next sort of 25 minutes or so, we'll just try and what we can remember off the top of our heads. I mean, Si, first off, did you see the episode of Raw this week, out of curiosity?
I did. It's the first episode of Raw I have watched in quite a while, and I found that basically, the way I keep up to date with modern day WWE, there's two main ways. Okay, one is on social media, people posting things and clips, and I suppose YouTube links and so on. And secondly, via this great show that you and Ty put on, you are literally my link to modern day WWE. I haven't got the time to watch 3 hours of Raw. I haven't got the time to watch 2 hours of SmackDown. I've got a lot going on myself anyway.
Of course, yeah.
To recordings and the network and all that sort of gumph. I've got a job and I've got a wife and children. So there's a lot of hours to try and fit into the week. There's not enough time in the 7 days.
Yeah, definitely.
So you keep me up to date with what's going on in the world of WWE, and I found that watching this episode of Raw, I was brought back in for this episode because it's the anniversary show and you had all the legends returning and so on. So that was my hook. I wanted to see Flair. I wanted to see the old guys, and it turns out that listening to your show and the little bits and bobs I get from social media is kind of all I need, because I was up to date on every bloody storyline, every angle, every match. And I didn't have to watch every week. So first of all, that's a testament to you two fellas. Thank you very much for that. But secondly, it's also a testament, I think, and the TV ratings this week show it. The old boys are still a draw, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
What do you think of it? We won't go into a Raw review or anything. We're going to do that tomorrow on the show with our Raw Rumble predictions and stuff. But just quickly, Ty, what do you think of the episode?
I enjoyed it. I'm with Si. There's something nostalgic about when you bring the legends out, and I thought they did it. Did a nice job, just from my perspective. So I liked it.
My only negative, which we'll get into, we'll probably get. It ain't going to take long. My only drawback for me was the fact that the cage match didn't happen. Now I understand this because the Roman Reigns, the trial thing, which was originally meant to be an appreciation thing, it changed to a trial for Sami Zayn,
right.
which by the way, for me personally, was one of the best segments of the freaking night. And
it was fantastic.
And I find myself, I was talking to a mate earlier, NGB, a friend of the show, who's on my very first episode here when we did Money in the Bank. For the first time in probably a decade, I am emotionally invested in the Sami Zayn bloodline story. And Sami Zayn has done so much for me for that group. And I'm like, how can you still be making this guy jump through hoops, But, I mean, the cage match allegedly was put off because this segment went long, which is a shame. But at the same time, it was a bloody good segment.
Yeah,
it was fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's. I think it was absolutely, just brilliant television. With regards to WWE, it's sports entertainment as opposed to wrestling, isn't it? Let's be honest. It is its own brand, its own take on professional wrestling.
It's a style, isn't it? Of if you look at other things, it's probably the best way to say it. Yeah.
And Vince McMahon very famously in that documentary, Beyond the Mat, I think it was called, sat there and said, "We tell stories," and that's exactly what they're doing. And Sami Zayn to me is one of the best characters on wrestling television in the last year, and
easily.
That scene. That whole segment, the whole storytelling with one half of the Usos standing up for him and all that sort of stuff. And again, I won't dive into it too much, BenNny, because I appreciate you and Tyler are going to cover it on the next episode.
It's nice to hear your point of view, mate, because you don't watch it as much. I watch it because it's part of the show. I said on my podcast the other day, if I could sit down and watch every wrestling show and be paid for it, freaking sign me the check and I'll freaking do it. But there's only so many hours in the week, so.
Without a doubt. But let's all get it was superb.
Yeah.
It was just fantastic television, brilliant storytelling, and yes, it is a shame that they ran out of time for another segment, but that's kind of what happens with live TV, and you can plan as much as you like, but these guys were getting a good crowd reaction. I'm assuming because it was the opening of the show, and Roman Reigns is on their regular roster. I mean, you exclude the likes of Lesnar and so on from that. To me, I think on their regular roster, Reigns is the biggest name they have. Yep. Sami Zayn is currently, in my opinion, my very uneducated outside looking in opinion, Sami Zayn is the best character they've got on television at the moment. I imagine the ratings in that first segment were higher than the rest of the show. I can't say for certain, but if it's getting ratings and it's getting a great crowd reaction, I'm okay with them cutting a match that they could easily do on SmackDown or Raw next week.
Well, I'm hoping it makes it to the Rumble, but I haven't heard anything yet. So, as I sit here talking to you guys, but it's just a shame, really. That's my only negative. Like I said, we'll cover that tomorrow on Thursday because we're going to do a Thursday show talking Rumble and Raw, basically leading into the Rumble this Saturday. So, but we're mainly here. Got Si in, luckily, second time of booking, but we got him. But I'm assuming you've both got lists of favourite Raw moments. Tyler, I'll swing it to you first. Throw one our way, and we'll discuss. What's one of your what's one of your favourite moments of Monday Night Raw so far since you've been watching? When did you start watching, actually, Tyler?
I actually started watching probably pre-Attitude Era, to be honest. Probably when it first launched. I was very young, but I can remember when it was Undertaker's. He main evented against Damian Demento. I mean, going that far back when it was Macho Man Randy Savage with Vince McMahon, and I can't recall the other guy that was commentating, but I mean, it goes back that far. So it's really wild to see all the changes throughout the different eras. But one moment I'm actually fast forwarding to is when Vince purchased WCW. It's when him and Kurt Angle were in the ring and he was cutting this promo. It was Charlotte, North Carolina. So I brought up his name already. It was when Ric Flair came out and he revealed that he was the co-owner of the World Wrestling Federation back then. I believe it. You guys can help me out. Was it Shane and Stephanie that sold their shares in storyline to Rick?
Yeah,
And he
that's
came
right.
out,
Yeah.
and this is when Vince was going to introduce the NWO, and then shortly after that, we got Eric Bischoff. I don't want to give away too much, but it all ties in, and it was such a sight. Even though Flair had been there in the early '90s, he had been so associated with the Crockett territory, WCW, and also World Wrestling Federation, and to see the confrontation, it was just magical to see Flair and McMahon exchange barbs because they were both so good at promos anyways, and just knowing that real life tension and history, even though their relationship has been good, I'm sure it's had its moments, just spoke volumes to me. So that was a memory that stood out.
I mean, I know Si is a massive Ric Flair fan, but for me, this was the actual. I know who Ric Flair was. Bearing in mind, this is what 2001 and they've was it two? It was yeah, it would have been the end of 2001 because
Yes,
I started watching in 2000, so I knew who Ric Flair was. Never seen him wrestle, so when he came out, I was like, holy shit, that's Ric Flair. But other than that, that was my real first experience with Ric Flair coming out as the co-owner of the World Wrestling Federation. So it was a big moment.
What a moment! Yeah, it was.
Any thoughts on that one, Si, or did you remember it?
Yeah. I mean, that whole era I loved. I thought it was fantastic, and it was Benny. You'll know more than I. So if I get this wrong, I apologise. But I think our replay was on a Thursday night at the time on Sky Sports. I think it was like 9 o'clock.
Something like that. Or I remember. Oh, hang on, no. So Raw. Actually, no. Raw was. Well, when I started watching, Raw was on. So I don't think they showed it. Like now, you can the other night I actually watched Raw 30. I actually watched Raw live for the first time in God knows how long. But I watched it on BT Sport 'cause that's what it's on now. But
yes.
I think it was Raw was on a Friday and SmackDown was on a Saturday over here on Sky at one point before it became actually being broadcast live. I think I could be wrong on that. But I remember watching it early on Friday and Saturdays. Now whether those were just repeats or whether they were actually being broadcast live at stupid o'clock in the morning, I have no idea, to be honest with you.
Okay. No, I remember the first house I owned. Well, the only house I've actually owned, but the first house I owned, I remember Thursday evening was my late finish at work, and I would get in half an hour before Monday Night Raw. Now, don't get me wrong.
They might have changed it, to be fair.
This is going back 20 odd years ago, but I remember it being, I think it was a Thursday night, 9 o'clock, Raw was on. So it was literally a case of I'd get in from work, have my tea, and it would be on. So I would be watching Raw every single week then, whether it was good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah.
And that era of the invasion angle, and then Flair coming out afterwards, and then the NWO and all that sort of stuff, and then Flair and McMahon facing off. I was all about that. I loved that because these are faces that I remembered from WCW and before, and I just thought the storytelling was superb back then.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the invasion gets a lot of grief and people criticize it, but I didn't think it was too bad.
I personally liked it, but then you're thinking I'm only a year in at this point, so I don't necessarily know all the people that could have been there. Looking in retrospect, I still like the invasion angle. It's a shame, yes, we could have had Sting and Goldberg and all that, but overall, I think it was pretty good. It ended when it needed to end. I think it was a nice stint to have it. Yes, it could have been a lot better, but to be fair, it could have been a lot worse. I think so. I enjoyed it personally. Go on.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good too.
Yeah, it's cool. We're gonna have to talk about invasion at some point. But go on, inside. What have you got on your list that you want to share with us?
Goodness, I mean, there's obvious ones, isn't there, that everyone talks about? There's obvious ones that everyone is aware of, and I've tried to steer clear of those because so many people talk about. I mean, one for me that I have got there's an obvious one is Foley winning the title in '98. That reaction, the crowd, and Austin coming out, and all that great stuff.
Yeah, it was a cool moment. It was a cool moment.
Oh, yeah. I tried to steer clear of a lot of the obvious ones like Austin and all that. I've gone for ones that are personal to me, really. And one that stands out... Well, okay, there's two that stand out straight away. They were the first things I listed when I started thinking about this. The first one is actually going way back to '93. And one of the first episodes of Raw I caught, because I'm old enough to remember when it bloody started. No
comment. We're waiting for the check. So yeah, you're not old. You're not old.
Thanks, mate. And that was probably the first really good match that Monday Night Raw had. And we had a loser leaves the WWF contest between Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect. And even now, 30 years later, if you go back and watch that match, it still stands up today. And Flair had given his notice, he wanted to head back to WCW, so they had this contest, and Mr. Perfect was the babyface, and obviously he won that match. I remember watching that, and as a kid, not really twigging what was going on with the whole contract and Flair leaving and so on. I'm thinking, oh my God, Flair's done. What's going to happen? Because I completely bought into it at that point.
Yeah.
But the first one that really stood out to me, and it's one that I still go back to all the time now, and it's one of my favourite times in professional wrestling, because I'm a huge Shawn Michaels mark, as everyone knows. Flair and Michaels are the two.
Yeah.
When Shawn came back in 2002, and he was attacked in the car park.
That was a great segment.
And we had
it was awesome.
Triple H trying to search who it was, and it was a big whodunit. And I remember sitting there watching. I'm bearing in mind at this point, I'm in my 20s at this stage. I'm sat there thinking, who has done this? What's happened?
Yeah.
And I didn't for a second think this was going to lead to Michaels coming back and wrestling. I thought this was going to lead to Triple H wrestling on Shawn Michaels' behalf.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah, and then we get the famous line of Michaels when he's sat I think he's in a wheelchair, and he's via a satellite link from his home, and he's busted up and all this, and the security footage depixelizes, and you can see the silhouette of the Game stood there in his denim jacket and all that leather jacket, and all that sort of stuff. And we get the line from Shawn of, "It was you, Hunter."
Yeah, yes, I even know what shirts I think he was wearing a Scars and Stripes t-shirt when he sat down with that blood still on his, like, the grazes and stuff from the window. And
yes,
the video package at SummerSlam before the matches tells the story brilliantly. That depixelization of Triple H being stood there. What was quite fun, I noticed weirdly at the time, was when they depixelated it, I believe Triple H in the car park was wearing a white t-shirt, but now he's in the ring, he's wearing a black t-shirt, but it's the same logo on it. So weirdly, good guy, bad guy sort of vibe I had. I was like, as soon as I saw that, they didn't have to depixelate it, to be honest. You knew it was Triple H the way it was stood, but it was so dramatic and so freaking cool.
The biggest moment of that, though, for me, again, even at this point in my early 20s, huge Shawn Michaels fan since the days of the Rockers and all this. I was probably the only guy in the UK that cheered in October of 92 when he beat the Bulldog, was when Shawn leant forward and said, the doctors have said I should be okay by SummerSlam.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting in my girlfriend at the time's house and basically coming out my armchair and thinking, oh my goodness, surely not.
I love moments like that.
Just from a personal level, just that really stands out.
I think that's the point with these Raw moments, is that they are personal to yourselves. So, yours might be different to mine. They're all good, I think. I think they're all going to be, like, spot on in, like, yes, those are classic moments, but we like them for different reasons, I think. So, and, but they're all, I think, if we were to... Sorry, go on, Tyler.
No, I was just agreeing. I think you guys are right on the money. I mean, I think they speak to us different ways, but they're all going to be so good. Yeah,
I mean, I'm looking at one right now, but I'm not going to say so. But for me, one of my top moments, I still get goosebumps watching it. The JR calling the action and just everything that went into this match is when Chris Jericho won the WWF Championship, but then had to give it back, unfortunately. But when we've got a new champion from JR. And just everything that led up to that moment with the Jericho goading Triple H into the WWF Championship match, then introducing the APA to stand guard outside, then, just everything that happened. If you've never watched it in its entirety, the whole segment and match is really good, and it's one of my favourites to this day. It's just a shame Jericho had to give the title back, really.
Yeah. I mean, Jericho's debut as well is another one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was one I was going to do the next one. Yeah, definitely.
That has to rank up there. That was big.
Magsy says that's one of his all-time Mr. Magsy, I do chain wrestling with.
Yes,
he says that's one of his all-time favorite wrestling moments.
Definitely.
And Jericho's one of his all-time favorite wrestlers. And when that happened, he said he goes back and watches it on a regular basis, and just even now to this day talks about the goosebumps and so on that he gets.
It's cool because, like, when the name flips over Jericho, the crowd just, like, explode. Because nobody's ever heard that music before. You've never seen the Y2J thing before at this point. And as soon as that Jericho name appears on the Tron, the place just erupts. And it's so hard to explain if you're not a wrestling fan If you're not a wrestling fan, thank you for listening to the show, but more than likely you're not listening to it. It's a great moment. I loved it when he returned in, I think it was 2007 with the Save Us stuff as well. One of my little Chris Jericho factoids I know is when he returned in 07, yes, he had shorter hair and it was a different Titantron and everything, but the vest he was wearing was made from the shirt that he debuted in 99.
Oh, why?
So that's my little factoid.
I didn't know that either. Yeah.
Such a good. I'm going to go on a side rant quickly. One of my favorite wrestlers of all time is Jericho. Weirdly, my first ever favorite wrestler was Road Dogg purely because of the shake, rattle, and roll. I didn't know what the hell I was on about. My mate got me a signed picture this Christmas, actually just gone, which is really cool. But Jericho actually became my favorite wrestler before I'd even seen him wrestle, and that was playing WCW NWO Revenge on the N64. And Jericho, for some reason, I gravitated towards him, played him as his character on the wrestling game, and liked that character. And not realizing then a couple of years later, I then ended up watching WWE, and Jericho's in WWF, not WCW. So I was like, I was still learning at this point. So it was such a cool moment, really. God, there's so many. Tyler, you got another one for us?
Yeah, real quickly, just going back to you guys talking about Jericho, you brought up a fantastic point, both of you, that how not only did his debut mean so much more, it was so significant because I'll tell you why, it was still in the midst of the Monday Night Wars. And it, you would see a lot of the superstars go to WCW. Instead, they were starting to see, or at least part of me, we were starting to see the influx of a lot of those big-time talents like a Chris Jericho start showing up on the other channel for McMahon. So I think that's another thing, too, you can take away. That's why he resonated so much with that debut, because we were, seeing Hall and Nash and Hogan, on the other channel, but we weren't seeing a lot of the guys. You got to remember, this is pre-Benoit Malenko jumping the Radicals. This was a big acquisition. So that's all I was going to insert there. My other big moment, gentlemen, is I'm a big Bret Hart fan. So I got to say, when he did the shoot promo on Vince McMahon, he shoved him. This is when Psycho Sid was the champion. The Undertaker shows up. Shawn Michaels gets involved. I mean, Sid and Taker fight. It's Michaels and Bret Hart. It's all the real-life issues coming to life and storyline, and they did it so well. This is where it blurred the lines, where you didn't know whether to believe it or not, but it suspended your disbelief. And this was the animosity between Bret and the company at the time, well before the Montreal Screwjob. And this is kind of the crossover from that Generation Me era to the Attitude Era, the early stages when you think about it. And I love how we got more of the heel Bret Hart. I just think as great as a babyface and a champion he was, I loved him calling out the locker room. And this is back when he was feuding with Stone Cold Steve Austin. This is what set it off. So, we all know the great matches and moments they had. So to me, man, Bret Hart being heel was some fantastic work. And that stood out to me as a moment for Raw. And there was multiple moments where he was such the villain, and he did so well in combating McMahon and Austin and all the other top stars. That just shows you the versatility I don't think a lot of people will talk about with the Hitman enough. So that's one of them, certainly.
So with
regards to Bret, it's a funny one, because when I think of Bret Hart, I always think about his in-ring ability. With regards to interviews and I suppose cutting promos and so on, I've never been overly convinced. But I'm a huge Bret fan. But Tyler, you're right. When he had those moments in '97 and he eventually went heel, and we had the whole Hart Foundation, that to me was some of the strongest mic work Bret Hart did in his whole career.
Oh, I agree. I mean, that's what I'm saying. He was convincing. It wasn't just this routine babyface promo. Don't get me wrong. He showed a lot of passion in those too. But it seemed like psychology-wise and from a character development, we were seeing shades of a Hitman that, with that attitude, speaking of Attitude Era, and an evolution of his overall gimmick that, was speaking to fans, whether they reacted to a negative point of view or a positive with this newer Bret Hart. It was working. I mean, he was getting it over. So that's a testament to the Hitman. I mean, whether you were a big supporter of his or not, you got to respect, how that took, that process, part of me, from being that super over good guy to this this hated villain, especially as a guy that was in the States. I mean, he was playing that Canada versus the United States and pandering to Canada, which I thought was genius, to your point.
Was this one of the first? I believe this is one of the first times when you actually would go to Canada, like you'd actually have split reactions, wouldn't you? So even though he's the heel, he's getting like cheered. And obviously nowadays, when you, especially with WrestleMania, the Raws after Mania tend to be, very unique crowds, as they like to say in WWE, and they're having fun and all this, but they don't tend to cheer for the good guys, or they want to cheer for the back. Do you know what I mean? So is that one of the? I mean, I could be wrong. It was. So is it one of the first times that had happened? I think based on how WWE tell that, looking back in history, it makes they make out that this is the first time they really had like a mixed reaction. Is that fair to say?
I think so. I mean, it's the first one that's really noted.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's the first one everybody's kind of talked about. Now they've tried different things, I'm sure, but I can't remember. Like Si was saying,
David
like
Smith, for example.
Yeah,
that's
a great
sense.
That makes sense. Yeah. Problems, gentlemen. I do apologise.
Oh, we lost you, Si?
Oh, did we lose Si?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I think I'm having a few internet problems, gents. I do apologise.
Right,
well, we'll power through.
Yeah, we'll power through. Obviously, we know we're on a bit of a time limit, so we are rushing through these a little bit, but I want to get to a little bit of a surprise I got at the end of the show for Si and Ty. Hopefully, nothing goes wrong internet-wise, to be honest.
Well, I don't know if you noticed me. I did drop you a quick message saying I'm okay for a bit longer than first anticipated. Now,
okay. So. No, I didn't see it, mate, because I'm too busy engrossed in the conversation, but I appreciate it. No, man. I mean, you mentioned it earlier, Ty. We'll move on to you did mention it briefly, but obviously by this point I'm a bit more clued in of who people are in the wrestling industry in terms of America and WWE and WCW. When Eric Bischoff showed up on Raw as the new GM of Raw, my mind at the time just exploded with like, how the hell is this guy now the GM on Raw? How is this guy in WWE? It absolutely blew my mind that Eric Bischoff is now in WWE and running the flagship show at the time, absolutely. And you know what? He did a great job, actually, to be honest. You look back at what he did for WWE, he done pretty good. But the stuff he did, because I must have watched that before the Monday Night War series came out on the network and all that kind of stuff. I watched the Monday Night War DVD, which is more of an overview of the whole thing, whereas the Monday Night War thing on WWE Network is a bit more in depth. But I'm like, how is this guy working for WWE? My mind was like, how is this happening?
It's just blown, and I know Si can speak to this, man. I'll tell you my reaction. I was in shock too, because I'd even watched Nitro and saw kind of the heel character of Eric Bischoff with the NWO. And, you can say what you want to about the guy. He did help out in a lot of ways and may have hurt in a lot of other ways as well. But as far concerning his character work, oh, my goodness, similar to McMahon, just on a different level. This was ingenious. This was very brilliant from a creative standpoint to bring in a guy that, was just – he was your nemesis. I mean, you guys were going to war. I mean, McMahon was even playing on the sympathies of what was transpiring with between the two companies that were battling for the ratings war. And to have him embrace and introduce Eric Bischoff, and JR had the line of the night, are they going to pick each other's pockets? I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
I mean, it was brilliant. So I can't wait to get Sire and more of your perspective, Benny, because that has to rank as one of the greatest moments. I mean, just see Eric Bischoff on WWE television, and you're so correct. He did such a great job regarding his character work, being someone the audience could stand, but yet they grown to appreciate, because when he got introduced back, what was it, Raw 25 with Regal and all the other GMs? He got quite the reaction. I mean, he was over. I mean, because people have a lot of fond memories, and like we do, of when Bischoff reigned as the general manager of the Red Brand.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's actually on my list as well. Bischoff turning up in 2002. It was just such a shocking moment. But there's a couple of other things that come into it as well. It's not just seeing Bischoff there. It's seeing Bischoff and McMahon hug on the stage after everything that had gone on previously. And then also, what a banging entrance theme that is. That is a great entrance theme. But Bischoff himself, I mean, he was an announcer in the AWA. He was then, as he calls himself, a third-rate or C-level announcer in WCW before he eventually got control. And he's been a booker and a businessman and the executive involved in WCW and so on. But as an on-screen character, how brilliant was this guy?
In WWE, I can't speak to Nitro because I didn't really watch it, but on WWE, at first it took me a little bit to warm to him. I'm not going to lie, and it's even I was more like indifferent towards him initially because I was like, "What the fuck are you doing here, man?" I was really genuinely pissed. And bearing in mind, I missed out on the Attitude Era pretty much. So, but just watching the history of WWE, I was a WWE guy, WWF guy, still am, I guess. But it was just like, what the hell? How they've blurred the lines, which we talked about earlier with the Eric Bischoff in Vince. But I thought it was, looking back at it as he went on, I had more appreciation for what they were doing and what the ultimate sort of like thing was for him to be a natural heel. To any WWE fan near enough, Eric Bischoff walk into that company a heel.
Yes, well, 100%. And I love the story Bischoff himself tells, where he's sat at home. He's not short of a few quid, shall we say. He's doing okay for himself. And even at this point, he's working with different production companies and television companies, and he's executive producer on certain TV shows. I mean, I think there was one that had a character from Happy Days or something like that he was promoting around this time. My timeline may be messed up there. I apologize if that's the case, but he was okay. But the opportunity to go back really, it appealed to him. But then he had this realization, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but he had this realization, as the story goes that he tells, that, oh crap, I got to start dyeing my hair again. Because Bischoff has been, grey-haired, silver-haired, whatever, since his days in the AWA. He was dyeing his hair jet black in the AWA before he even went to WCW in the early 90s. And he says because his hair grows quite quick and he's on television, he has roots after 4 or 5 days. So he has to dye his hair at least once a week.
Wow.
And he said that was the biggest thing that stuck out to him. Oh no, I've got to start dyeing
Not
my
that he's going to go and
again.
work for a former rival or anything like
that's
that.
The problem. Yeah. But no, I like how you brought that up. So wasn't it Scott Baio who he was producing the show for?
There you go. Brilliant. Yeah, spot on.
And then Jason Hervey, he went into a production company with him from the Wonder Years. So I love how you're bringing up this in-depth history, both of you guys, because it's helping me remember. There's so much to recall that are just wonderful memories. But man, Bischoff, you're so right. The journey from being that announcer starting in AWA and then being the announcer in WCW, the rise to power there, and him, being in lawsuits with McMahon and Jerry McDivitt. I mean, he talked about it, over the trademark, the licensing, the licenses, however, of both Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, the Razor Ramon Diesel characters. I mean, and the things that he was saying was pretty provocative. A lot of people, even in WCW, didn't. They were a little bit weary of what Eazy was saying there about McMahon and challenging him to the fight at Slamboree. So there was no love lost between these guys or these companies. And like Benny said, for him to come out, it was just so natural for him to be that hated villain, and he did so well at it. That's why I respect him so much. He just embraced the role because he wasn't going to be an executive. He was there just as talent, and this time he could enjoy it.
Yeah.
He could be himself.
Didn't have to be the guy running it all the day or doing the day-to-day, so he could, like you said, essentially an employee, but yet still be around the business he seemed to love it still at that time, I guess.
You mentioned there, Tyler, about the Kane, about the Diesel and Razor characters. I know we're trying to be positive here, but that's got to be one of the worst moments in Raw history, hasn't it?
I've seen it back. It's not good.
That's bad. Boy, talk about bringing a lot of the bad moments. You just said it. So to have, and it was Glenn Jacobs before he was, he was the fake Diesel. And then what was it? Rick Bosner, who played Scott Hall's part, Razor Ramon, and JR. It was Evil Hill JR. And as much as I hate this segment, JR actually, man, when he's passionate and he's doing like he is on commentary and cutting a promo that was based in reality. By the way, Bruce Pritchard backs it up when they were doing this segment. To me, JR was the bright spot of this whole thing, but it was terrible. I get why they were trying to do it because we own the characters, but I don't know. I felt bad for the guys having to betray them because it's like, how did they survive from That, and fortunately for Kane, man, doing that brother angle with Taker did save him. But for the other guy, I'm not so sure. But boy, that was horrid. I mean, that was just talk about bad creative, just and bad timing.
How pissed would you have been?
Rick Bosner, whatever his name.
Something like that. I don't know how to pronounce. Yeah,
he actually passed away not long ago. I think, if my memory serves, which is a bit of a shame. But
yeah, it's very sad. Yeah,
how pissed?
And you feel bad for him,
How pissed would you be if you brought tickets thinking you're going to see Razor and Diesel, and then them two fuckers walk out? How pissed would you be? No, you get the wind. Oh yeah, Razor's coming back. Oh what? Oh cool, man! I can't wait to see the bad guy and everything. And then fucking, who the fuck is this? This is like a wish order.
What about you, Benny? What else have you got for us?
Oh, back to me. Well, to be honest, I have got others, but like because you've mentioned we've talked about Eric Bischoff. I think I went, didn't I? Didn't you all go say?
Oh, is it really? Okay,
I believe
apologies. So. It's funny that Ty actually mentioned Bret Hart in '97. Mine, I've got two that sort of go hand in hand that involve Bret Hart. The first one is Bret's actual return in 2010. Now that was spectacular. That was a real hell froze over moment after everything that went on with Montreal, all the stuff Bret said about the WWF and Vince, and it was never going to happen. It was never going to go back. And then it was the same night, I believe, TNA, Hogan and Bischoff were in charge of TNA wrestling at the time. They decided to go on a Monday night.
Oh yeah, they did try. Yeah, I do remember.
Yeah, and I think their first episode on a Monday, WWF or WWE, sorry, advertised, Bret's coming back. So it just destroyed them, absolutely destroyed them. And even when they said Bret's coming back, I didn't 100% believe it was going to happen. I thought we were going to get some kind of swerve or some kind of WWE, sticking their fingers up at us kind of thing. But the possibility of it happening still made me stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, to watch it.
Waiting, just to, and I mean, because Bret, that's my childhood, Bret Hart, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, all those guys. So seeing Bret walk out, oh my word, that was just, that blew my mind. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. That was on Bischoff level of shock.
Yeah, see,
it was.
I've never been a massive Bret Hart fan. I appreciate what he's done for the business. I appreciate every wrestler that's ever steps in the ring, but I've never really resonated with Bret. But you talk about them doing a swerve. To be honest, at the time I remember this vaguely, but I remember thinking, no, this is just a swerve, because if you remember a few short years prior to this, Michaels and Hogan had a rivalry, and then Michaels is the bad guy in Montreal.
Yes.
In the ring, doing all the shit. Then I don't remember which way they did it, but basically he had Hulk Hogan's music come on, and then HBK's laughing, going, haha, you thought he was here, basically. And then Bret Hart's music come on, the place erupted, and again, Shawn Michaels sold it well, looked shocked, and then went, haha, he's not really here. And
when I said I've got two Bret Hart moments that kind of go hand in hand.
Oh, is that it?
HBK in Montreal is the other one, 2005.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Because whereas I didn't fully buy in to Bret returning in 2010 until I saw the guy on my screen, that even when the music hit, I was a bit like, nah, I don't know. Until I saw him on my screen, I didn't 100% believe them. In 2005, with Shawn and his reaction in that ring, and how the Montreal crowd were just baying for his blood, and he proper just milked the crowd. It's such a fantastic heel, where when Bret's music hit, I was up off my sofa. They worked me. Again, wrestling fan who 40 understands what's going on. I'm not a kid at this point by any stretch of imagination. But they got me. They 100% worked me. Because I adore Shawn Michaels. But when he started laughing, I thought, you bastard.
I personally, again with you for 2010, I didn't believe it until I saw him walk out. Mainly probably because of what happened then. But I remember watching it and laughing my ass off, because I love stuff like that. When they got you going one way, and even though they got me, and he did get me because he sold that so well when Bret's music came on.
Yes.
When he started laughing, I actually said verbally out loud, and I apologise, although I don't apologise. We don't blink out swear words on this show. But I'll change it. What a tool, basically, I'll say. Yes. But it was a good moment. I mean, I'm sure you liked a Bret Hart returning, Tyler, in 2010.
Oh yeah, Yeah, for sure. That was a moment where I'm like you guys. I thought hell was going to have to freeze over for Brett to forgive Shawn Michaels, just knowing all the politics and what transpired. You go back and look at their history, but I was glad because I like Shawn Michaels too. I may be a Brett fan, but I'm one of those that respects what Shawn's done for the business. I mean, both those guys are two of the greatest performers ever, and I think that's why they disliked each other. They had a lot of things that were similar, and sometimes that'll happen. And it was good to see them bury the hatchet, so to speak. They're on good terms, it appears now, and it was one of those moments. Yeah, I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. Brett coming back after he was critical of the company, but seeing him and Shawn have that moment was magic, and that
cool.
Definitely has to be a highlight and one of the best of all time concerning Raw or any of their shows. I mean, that was epic.
I don't.
With Shawn coming out, because he was still in DX at that time, wasn't he, in 2010? And he came out wearing the DX gear and all that sort of stuff when Brett made his return.
Yeah,
I was like, I was sat there thinking, oh my goodness, this is, my mind was blown. I can't even now. I mean, I like to pride myself on being able to talk wrestling until the cows come home. I like to pride myself on having a fairly decent vocabulary, but even now I struggle to find the words for that moment, seeing Shawn and Brett in 2010, 13 years after Montreal being stood in the WWE ring.
Yeah,
but it was re-shown. That brief little moment was re-shown on the 30th anniversary episode of Raw this week.
Yes, yeah.
And when I watched it, my wife watched it with me, and she's watched less WWE than me. She is tired of the company and so on. But
yeah,
when that replayed, she said that was a good moment. And I'm going to try and quote her word for word here, but my wife Sharon, she said that was a good moment, but my goodness, didn't that hug look fake and forced?
It did, yeah. It was, maybe not from Michael's point of view. Maybe he's a better actor, but Brett's face was like, yeah,
yeah.
It was.
Yeah,
no,
Brett
I was
wanted to get it over with. Yeah,
Yes.
He was worried he's going to get put back in a sharpshooter and lose another match or something, wouldn't he? To be honest, that's what's going on there. But
yeah.
It's a shame the way it went down. The Montreal screw job. It's been spoken about enough. We don't need to cover it, but it's a shame the way it went down. But you can kind of. Unless you're that person, you can't really say anything, I guess, but you can see it from Vince's point and you can see it from Brett's point. So either way, really, you can't really win, I
Benny,
suppose.
you're 100% right, Benny. It's a different show, and we ain't got time to dive into it now.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I will happily join you and Tyler and whoever else you wish to break down Montreal.
Yeah, okay.
It's one of my favourite
We'll
subjects.
get that locked
I'm
in
happy to do that in the future. I will pre-warn people. I upset people because I do constantly say Brett screwed Brett. But we'll get into it another time.
Well, speaking of that, one of my moments is actually with Vince McMahon doing the speech of Brett screwed Brett.
Okay.
To be honest, and just in a sense of, I think it's. I didn't see it personally because I wasn't watching them, but I've seen it back, obviously, and I got loads of tapes and stuff back in the day. So even though I wasn't watching it at the time, I saw like Hell in a Cell and the Iron Man match and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like I don't know everything, but I feel like I'm well versed in stuff that did happen. But
yeah.
Looking back at it now, older, and I wouldn't say wiser, just older. But it's just, it kind of I feel like it's definitely one of those blurred line moments because yes, he's doing an interview for the show, but how much of that stuff that Vince said is like genuine, And I feel like 98% of it is probably how he felt in that moment in time. So,
well, according to Bruce Pritchard sorry, Tyler, I apologise.
No, you're fine.
According to Bruce Pritchard on his podcast, if I'm remembering correctly, it's been a while since I listened back to the episodes around that subject matter. When they sat down to do this, Vince said he wanted to defend the company. And when Bruce Pritchard said to him, well, what are you going to say? Vince kind of just said, well, I don't really know. And a lot of it was just kind of ad-libbed on the night. So
yeah. But he closed it with Brett screw Brett, didn't he? So yeah, sorry, Tyler, go on.
No, you guys are fine. All I was going to say, you're bringing up some great points about that because I think Vince was legitimately hurt too, and I think that's why it was so personal. And for Brett too, and because here's a guy that he bought out Stampede Wrestling and brought the Hearts in, and this was one of the guys that he built the company around, him and Michaels, especially when Hogan left and all that, and to see that hey, he may go to WCW, and Brett's been talking, and which Vince knew, And there was just so much going on that I think Vince just had to come out and say, like you said, Benny, and inside, hey, Bret screwed Bret. As much as I like Bret Hart, I have to look at the other side of it too. So that's all I'm kind of relaying. I think it's an educational conversation we're having. I know we're talking Raw moments, but I'm with Si. I definitely want to, take a deeper dive into the Montreal Screwjob controversy.
Well, I think we're going to have to do another Raw look back at some point because we're not even scratching the surface, and time is getting away from us. But Tyler, any more moments you want to? We'll try and do one more each, I think, because of the time we've got left. That is, I know,
sure.
we just haven't got enough time to fit it all into this in the time slot. So,
it's fine. I'm enjoying it. The one moment, because I do like comedy. It's sports entertainment with WWE, is Mankind introducing The Rock to "This Is Your Life."
Oh yes, great pick.
That was hilarious. Oh, it was hilarious, and you love the chemistry that these guys had. Anyways, as the Rock and Sock connection, and it was great because The Rock just looked aggravated, but how comedic with his timing. Not only a great wrestler for what he does is Mick Foley. I mean, whether it's Mankind, Cactus Jack, Dude Love, just Mick Foley himself. It's tremendous. I mean, I can't recall the whole segment, but it's just great because The Rock's, opening presents. I think there's an old teacher or somebody.
Yes, there is.
Was a prop. They just brought in maybe an old high school sweetheart. It was just stuff like that people can relate to, even on a bogus level. So that, to me, I had to bring that up. The Rock and Mankind just had some great history together, and it was on Raw. So that definitely has to be a highlight for me.
A segment that ran over as well, by all accounts. So, we've started it with this, and we've ended it with it. So, great moment, Mr. Rocco. Great, what a sock to have, man. Honestly. So
yeah. I wanted to have Rocco too. Yeah. That's how much fans wanted to have a daggum sock, for crying out loud.
Yeah, a sock as well.
That's crazy. Yeah.
A very popular tag team, considering their run together wasn't actually that long, to be honest. But very popular.
No, it was.
Si?
Well, first of all, I want to give a quick shout out to Goldberg's debut the night after WrestleMania 19. We didn't know it was going to go to shit at that point.
No. To be honest, I had a funny feeling, to be honest, because the spear didn't exactly look amazing on Rock. But no, he did have some good moments. I think the Elimination Chamber, where he literally just destroyed everybody, was an excellent match. And instead of him winning the title at Unforgiven, he should have won it in that Elimination Chamber match, because the way they did it was brilliant. He's smashing the glass to get to Triple H and everything. He should have won it that night, not at Unforgiven in a one-on-one for me. But that's retrospect.
That The Rock made that with his whole "I've got nobody to beat" and who's next, nobody, and then Goldberg. But we can't, I suppose, talk about great moments in Monday Night Raw history, even though we're kind of trying to avoid some of the more well-discussed moments and look at some sort of deeper dives. I mean, you've obviously got the 1-2-3 Kid beating Razor Ramon in '93. That was a big historic moment as well, and so on. But I think we got to look at the pipe bomb from CM Punk.
Yeah, definitely. 2011, I want to say.
It was just... as a wrestling fan, again, who kind of thought I knew how the business worked and kind of thought I had an understanding of backstage politics and all this sort of stuff. I mean, now I'm much older, I realise I knew nothing. But at the time, I thought I kind of knew what was going on. Hearing somebody talk that way on a WWF TV program was just, again, absolutely mind-blowing. It was insane. And the referencing other companies, referencing other titles.
Yeah.
And the whole summer of Punk was just, it was groundbreaking stuff for me.
It was, yeah. And it was, you can't...
yeah, certainly.
Sorry, Ty.
No, I was just going to, I was just agreeing. I think it was ahead of its time. It was something you didn't hear or see a lot, and man, for CM Punk to do that, I'm glad you remember that, and you too, Benny, remember some of these moments, because there's so many we can't fit it into a time limit. But man, you've got to give CM Punk his due, whether you like him or not. That was some great stuff. That was more that kind of reminiscent of the Attitude Era, when it's not the Attitude Era. Honestly,
I genuinely, I could be wrong, but I genuinely believe, you can say what you want about Punk and everything and blah 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 now, but in that moment in time, I felt that was a kick up the ass that the company needed. Whether it was scripted or not, whether it was meant to happen or whether it wasn't meant to happen, whether it was a big work, I don't give a shit, to be honest. It was what we needed in that moment, in that point in time. And I think it benefited the company for about 2 or 3 years, to be honest, while that was going on. So
I think that just from going by, we keep mentioning a time limit. I want to apologise to everyone listening and to you fellas as well. It's me that's imposed a time limit on the show because I thought I had something to do. We can actually go a bit longer again now, gents. My time thing keeps getting pushed back, so don't stress. It's okay. But with regards to Punk and the timing of it, there's a few references I can draw upon from other people talking to me. And it's a lot of people I spoke to for the first podcast I had, the SJP wrestling podcast way back when. I spoke to lots of fans. I think it was the first time me and you recorded together, Benny, was for that show.
More than likely.
Yes. And I think, Tyler, you and I spoke on that show for the first time as well, actually, going way back when. But,
yeah, we did. Yeah.
But various people I spoke to, whether they were wrestling fans such as yourselves, or even UK-based independent wrestlers who wrestle for local companies around where I live in Gloucester in the UK, there was 2 trains of thought with Punk, for not all of them, but for a lot of them, and a lot of people of a certain age, in that they'd fell out of love with wrestling, but the CM Punk stuff brought them back in, and Mr. Mags is one of these. He missed a great chunk of wrestling. He just fell out of love with it, and the Punk stuff brought him back in to being a wrestling fan again. And also, a younger generation just attached to CM Punk and won them over in the same way that maybe an Austin did for people in the Attitude Era, or a Hogan did for people in the 80s. I'm not saying on the same money-making level,
of course,
or on the same level as being a draw at the box office as these guys. Of course not. These are 2 of the biggest names the business has ever seen. But Punk, a lot of people I've spoken to, it feels like they either hooked Punk hooked them in for the first time, or Punk hooked them back into wrestling again. So I think it's incredibly influential, Benny. I think you're really onto something with that point.
Yeah, I just think it's a case of older fans like myself at the time. I've always kept an eye on WWE. I tune into, especially when around Royal Rumble time, like we are now, and Mania and stuff. But I watch socials and stuff, and maybe not watch a show week to week. And I really fell out of love with the company probably around 2016-ish. For a little, 2014. Sorry, and then I came back in about 2016, watching it again fully. But Punk definitely, I think, just reinvigorated people. I think he voiced a lot of things that people resonated with, whether it be frustration with WWE or even frustration in their own lives. So like you said with Austin, the blue collar, screw you, boss, I'll do what I want sort of attitude. Yes. So I think it resonated with people that maybe felt like I did indeed, like, screw the system a little bit, because we're the ones, making you profits, people. Where's my slice? So I think that's, even though that wasn't necessarily what Punk was saying, but it kind of was. If that makes any sense. That's how I interpreted it anyway. So
I think it makes sense. Yeah.
Definitely, I can't believe not that I forgot about it, but it wasn't on my list for some reason. I have no idea why that wasn't on my list. It's there's so many to go through though. 2 I want to lump together very quickly, not only because one's essentially a parody of the other, but Austin in the beer truck has got to be mentioned, and then obviously Kurt Angle more than a few years later with the milk truck, which they tried to recreate a few weeks ago or about a month ago. It didn't quite go over as well, but at the time I loved the milk truck and I loved the beer truck. So one thing I do know about the beer truck incident is Austin actually tried to take a swig of the beer coming out of the hose, and it damn near washed his tonsils down his throat. His words, not mine. And then and then it's cut out on TV. But then he's spraying, and I think after about 2 or 3 gallons or whatever it is, or a gallon or 2, it becomes water. But the first few were actually beer by all accounts.
Fantastic.
It sounds like something Stone Cold Steve Austin would do. That sounds like one of my cousins, that they distantly. Oh my goodness.
But yeah, no, some great moments. I don't know whether we got time to go round one more time, have we, Si? Have we got time for that?
Sure, yeah.
All right, we'll do that, and we'll do a little surprise at the end of the show here for you two, which they have no idea what's coming, and they're probably bricking themselves. So go on and Si, give us we'll try and give us another one, a really good one, because we're getting towards the end of the the show here.
Oh, Struth, I'll say I've exhausted what I've written down. To be
Oh,
honest.
wow, okay.
I'm just listening now to you fellas talking. I messaged you earlier on, Benny, because you shared an article that you wrote a little while back, and I messaged you after I read it saying I just love hearing people talk about the nostalgia of how they got into wrestling and how they became fans and their memories and so on.
I do as well, weirdly.
This conversation I've thoroughly enjoyed because of that. I've got two very quick ones that don't actually come from me.
Okay.
The first one is our good friend Scottish Danny. He replied to the tweets that you put out for the show earlier on, or the SJP World Media one and so on.
Yeah.
And this I think sums up Danny completely, because he's a lovely lad. I got so much time for the guy. He's fantastic, and he's brilliant on Nitro Nights on the SJP World Media Network, looking at WCW. But one of his that stands out to him, and again, it's funny how certain characters resonate with different people, was on Raw 15 and Gangrel returning. For some reason, that really resonated with a young Scottish Danny, and it's one of his fondest memories, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, no, that's a good shout to be fair.
No, it is.
I absolutely love the Gangrel music, by the way. Not that I really saw it, but I love it, and I love the rope catching fire and all that kind of stuff. Is really cool. So I'm gutted I missed the Brood, really, but you know, it kind of is.
The other one does kind of link in with the Brood, I guess. I actually, about 2 minutes before we started recording, I called my youngest daughter in and just asked her.
Yeah.
What are her memories of Monday Night Raw and so on? And she's a big wrestling fan, but she's very much the AEW side of the fence. She loves AEW and the Bucks and all that sort of stuff. So
as long as she's watching wrestling, mate, that's all I care about.
Oh yes. So there's a few things that, I mean, she will watch the Rumble and Mania and the pay-per-views, but the weekly TV not so much. But there's a few moments she mentioned that really stuck out to her that actually turned out that none of them were on Monday Night Raw. They were on pay-per-views or whatever. But the first one she came to with regards to Monday Night Raw, funnily enough, she's not old enough to really remember or have watched live, or that week it came out anyway. Yeah. But it's from watching the network and so on. Yeah. And it was, I suppose, a little bit of a somber moment as opposed to some of the celebratory moments we've been discussing. It was Edge retiring.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And she says that really stands out in her young wrestling fans' mind, because she said it felt so real and made her feel so sad. And I thought from my little girl talking that way, I thought it just shows how, again, same with Danny and Gangrel and so on.
Yeah.
And Punk with the people that I mentioned earlier, how these characters, and then beyond the character, how these individuals who entertain us each week can really resonate with us at home.
Daniel Bryan retiring as well. That was I'm not going to lie. There was a slight tear when Edge had to retire.
Oh yes,
I was like, oh my god, no. You mentioned Twitter. I'm glad you did, because I forgot about it, to be honest. I'm terrible. But Steve-O, a couple of because I put out a tweet saying, let us know your favorite moments and stuff. Steve-O did put every episode in early 1999 and late 99 into the early 2000s. The start and finish of each Raw was must watch. Obviously, he does his own thing, doesn't he, on Total Steve-O, but he's watching the 2011 stuff at the moment. He's up to early June, but he said it's hard. It's actually atrocious in some cases, he's saying. So the earlier stuff he likes, maybe not so much newer stuff. There are some. If he's going to keep going from 2011 onwards, there's going to be a few dark years before he gets to about I want to say 2015, 2016-ish. So he's got a few years to get through. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, there are moments within those that are really good, but there aren't many, unfortunately. Not that come to mind.
I want to quickly plug Steve-O as well, the Total Steve-O show he does. It's very much a solo podcast. He occasionally has guests on there. I've been on and spoke with him and so on. But he has various different topics. Sometimes it's music-based, and just talking about his own experiences of going to gigs and getting into different bands at different times in his life and so on. And there's the wrestling rewatches he does, as you mentioned, Benny, going back at the moment and rewatching 2011 WWE, and there's been other occasions he's gone back and looked at Attitude Era stuff as well. Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely well worth checking out the Total Steve-O show and following at Total Steve-O on Twitter to get the links for that and listening to his content. It's such interesting hearing his opinions on a real broad scope of topics. Really, an absolute top bloke as well.
Cool. Oh, sorry, go, Tyler. I was going to say, what have you got another one for us, Tyler?
Yeah, dude, I was just going to second that about Steve-O, a very entertaining guy. Just follow the guy on social media. I'm sure his podcast is unbelievable.
He does do a good impression of you, though, Tyler, doesn't he? We had that come through.
Yeah, he does. He does. I was flattered. I guess he gets me confused with Jimmy Stewart, but I'll take it. That's all I was going to say. Love Steve-O, though. The few moments, and just real briefly, are DX invades WCW Monday Night Nitro. That has to be a moment. I mean, when speaking of Road Dogg, one of your favorites, Benny, and Triple H, X-Pac, Chyna, and Billy Gunn are asking open the door, and where's Mr. Bischoff? And this is definitely when the rivalry was at its hottest. Both companies. We've talked about the Monday Night Wars. That's for another episode, but that stuck out to me. Speaking of Shawn Michaels, him super kicking Shelton Benjamin from the top rope. What a finish.
Yeah, it's on my list
credit
as well.
to both those guys. That was unbelievable. I mean, I've seen some great finishes that were creative. That has to be up there. To see Shelton Benjamin think he won up Shawn Michaels, but all he was doing was going right into sweet chin music was just perfect.
It was
so that's just my final moments. Yeah.
Gold Rush tournament was a great idea. I think they need to do. I love a tournament every now and again. I'm liking the SmackDown Tag Team Tournament at the moment. For the SmackDown tag team titles on obviously on SmackDown. I'm gonna mention I wonder how many of you actually remember this, because I think this doesn't even get played on like the memorabilia sort of side of it. Like it wouldn't have even been played, on the 30th anniversary show. It wasn't played on the 1000th or anything. For me personally, when Christian came back to WWE, I loved it. It was cool to see him back as that. He went into the ECW thing at the time, then he came back onto the main roster, but a match that actually is really quite good. Now, ironically, is a bit of a sorry, so I apologise, but basically, Edge and I believe Randy Orton were in a rivalry, and they did a thing where they can pick your poison match. Great, that's fine. So Edge is in the ring. Randy Orton comes up on the stage, up on the Titantron, and says, so I'm paraphrasing, but basically says, I've chose your opponent tonight, you're going to be blah, 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 whatever. And then, I may be misremembering this bit, but anyway, Christian ends up coming out. So it's Edge versus Christian, which we hadn't really seen since probably 2001. Christian's now back in the company a couple of years, and they put on a damn good match. It ain't a very long match, but it's a pretty good match, to be honest. Edge gets away with the win, just about. And then Randy Orton reappears on the Titantron and says, good match, good win, Edge, but I don't know what Christian's doing out there, because that's not the opponent I picked. And then the gong goes off and it's Undertaker coming to the ring.
Oh my goodness.
So it ends up not being a non-match anyway, but in the moment of I don't understand why Christian's out there, because he's not who I picked. Dong! The whole place erupted.
Brilliant.
It was such a cool moment, and I was like, oh, this is cool. But we got to see Edge versus Christian, which I was kind of clambering for, maybe like a rivalry between those two a little bit in the way, because Christian had now... Edge had separated himself into that main event sort of status, World Heavyweight title, and Christian did it in TNA and the ECW, but to see them come together in this different light of being almost like heavyweights now, I thought would have been really cool to have a better rivalry, but unfortunately we never really got it. And then obviously, as Si mentioned, Edge had to retire, so it's one of my favourite moments, but it's not one that's really sort of talked about,
Again, it's funny how these things resonate with different people, isn't it? And things stick in your mind. It's and that's the beauty of pro wrestling, I guess. There's so much out there for everybody.
Yeah, there's so much more. Go on, Tyler.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, that's why I love this conversation with you guys. I'm starting to get memories flooding back again of just why we are wrestling fans, why we love this stuff. And, I want to thank you guys, man. This has been a blast. I love doing this kind of stuff.
I appreciate you.
We go back in time and we revisit them, and it's just great nostalgia. It's hard to think we're thinking of the early 2000s as nostalgic. Used to it was the 80s, the 90s, even before the 70s. But it's true. I mean, it's been enough time gone by, and 30 years of Raw. Great topic to recall moments. And we haven't even scratched the surface like you guys were saying. We've got to do a sequel. We'll probably have to do some more.
We're gonna have to do something.
I'm up for it.
We're gonna have to do something because we've barely scratched. We've got into a skyscraper and we've only just gotten to level 2. Basically, we've not even, and there's still 93 floors above us. We've not even got there. I want to quickly mention Eddie Guerrero versus Rob Van Dam in 2002 in a ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. One of my favorite matches. And also quickly Triple H returning in 2002 after touring that quad for the first time. Bearing in mind,
Oh my goodness! How did I not have that on my list? I love that.
to the guy left as a full-on heel, and he came back a babyface just because fans wanted him back in WWE. So you
Madison Square Garden, was just shaking. It was amazing.
There's always retractors. There's always people, oh, but he married the boss's daughter and all this bullshit. All right,
who cares?
Maybe true, but he wouldn't have got that reaction, would he, if he wasn't good at what he does? Exactly. He made it stick, basically, is what I'm saying.
He's a Hall of Famer for a reason.
This booking stuff isn't very easy, as he said this. So yeah,
I love how he said that. That was great. Perfect. Yeah.
Cool, man. I appreciate you both coming on. I've got a little surprise here for you two at the end. You're probably going to both hate me off the air, maybe even during. I don't know. Right, so we've barely scratched the surface. Follow the show at In the Corner WWE. We'll do your guys' socials in a minute at the end of the show. But I want to say thank you for both for jumping back on. And Si, it's been a while, to be fair. I know we recorded the other day for some other stuff, but it's been a while since we've sat down and spoke wrestling, to be honest. So I appreciate you making time, man.
I've had a blast, mate. I've had a blast. Thank you so much for inviting me on. I've really enjoyed it.
Tyler, once again, you're back on the show, mate. We had a bit of a break.
I got suspended. Yeah, that's the truth. I did. He was putting me on suspension. No, I'm teasing. It's always a blast, man. I concur with Si. It's great to have Si with us. I know you guys have had a great history together, and I'm just happy to be part of the network, man. What happened, Si was not happy with my booking, and he's like, I've got to get him on some shows. This he's floundering.
Well,
we got to get him some ratings. We got to bring legends like Benny Mac and Si and Scottish Danny, to the program to help him because he's a new star. We got to elevate him. That's how I took it. But seriously, I love you guys. I'm picking at you, but my compliments are honest. I mean, I'm having loads of fun.
Don't worry about it, man. We appreciate it. I'm glad Si suggested you. So, well, enough of this love fest. Quickly, I appreciate it, but let's move on quickly. So I've got a bit of literally a 3-question quiz for you guys, okay? And it's Raw related. All right. So basically, if you know the answer, say your name, okay? So Tyler, you go Tyler, and then Si will go Si, all right, or whatever.
Right.
Okay.
So there's 3 questions. Obviously, potentially, you could both get none right, but there is a potential for a winner here. If you get it correct, I'm hoping you guys can still hear this. If you get it correct, you'll hear this. Okay, everybody hear that all right?
Yep.
Okay. If you get it wrong. What? Okay. So, for the first time ever on In the Corner, I used to do this on my radio show, mate. We used to do quizzes. So, first time ever on In the Corner, we are going to do a WWE Raw-related quiz with Tyler and Simon. And they're probably both... Yeah, they're sending me messages now. They both hate me. But here we go with the quiz. Yes, I got the music.
Fantastic.
Right, okay. So, shout your name out if you know the answer, okay? What year did Brock Lesnar return to WWE after his stint in UFC? I have not tripped you up on the first question, surely.
Yeah, Tyler, was it 2011?
So Tyler says 2011. What? Incorrect. Si, do you want to throw a guess in there?
2013.
Oh, my God. What?
2012. Oh, damn it.
It was 2012. Neither one of you got it right. Oh, no. Oh, man. Right, we got 2 left, guys. This could end up being a draw. Pardon me. Who was the second ever Universal Champion?
Si. No, I'm thinking of something else. I'm a dick. Universal Champion.
So the first ever Universal Champion, I'll tell you, was Finn Balor. But who was the second?
The second, I think, then was... I'm going to say Seth Rollins.
I'm afraid that's wrong. Tyler?
Kevin Owens?
Oh.
Yay, we got one right. Thank God for that. So, right, you should both know this. I would be very disappointed if you don't, to be honest. I'm not going to lie. Question 3, and Si, you could draw this up. I don't have a tiebreaker, because no pun intended, because I wasn't expecting it. So, here we go. What year did Monday Night Raw first air?
Si, 1993.
Hey, damn it, we got a draw.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
We got a draw. Do we want to leave it as a draw, or do you want me to find another question?
Go on then, let's embarrass me one more time.
I haven't got any more questions, mate, to be honest with you. I only did 3 because I thought we'd only have time for 3. Hang on. Quiz. Let me I'm going to Google it because I can't. Oh, see, you'll both know that one as well. That's hang on. I'm trying to find a question. Bear with me, people. Talk amongst yourselves.
No, I'm having fun. Hey, so I don't feel bad. I got lucky with Kevin Owens. The fact was I saw the highlights from the best of Raw moments. Or I wanted to know.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so there's my cheat sheet. Yeah, so if anybody wants to know, they credit me for knowledge. I'm like, I Google stuff. That's what it is. It's not enough.
Here we go. I've got a question. All right, are you ready for this?
All right.
For the win, okay? For the win. The same rules apply as before. Which of the following championships has John Cena never held? WWE Tag Team Championships, WWE World Tag Team Championships, the United States Championship, or the Intercontinental Championship?
Si.
Si.
Intercontinental Championship.
Oh, we got a winner, ladies and gents.
Congratulations, yeah. To Si Pal there, man.
Thank you very much.
We have a winner for the first ever In the Corner quiz. Maybe I should have left it as a draw. Would have made everybody feel a bit better. But we needed a winner, and we let the boss win.
No.
We'll get a bigger check when it comes in.
Yeah, we get the money.
Oh, mate, it's been fun chatting to you both. Obviously, Tyler, I will see you tomorrow. We're back again tomorrow talking some Raw and some Royal Rumble.
I look forward to it.
Mate, I'm looking forward to it. Si, where can we find yourself on the old socials before you go?
Well, anything I'm involved in, my friend, you can find via SJP World Media, and that's on Facebook and Twitter at SJP World Media. That's the network social media links, and all the shows that the network carries, you can find via those links. So search it up, make sure you follow, subscribe, and all that great stuff on all your podcast players. And there's programs looking at TV, music. You boys are involved in some fantastic content on the network as well. So there's loads going on. So yeah, at SJP World Media for that. Thank you very much, Si. Tyler, obviously I'll see you tomorrow, but where can we find you? Where can we find your stuff, man?
Yes, you can find me at Twitter at DustinTyler86. Also WrestleBuddy.com, where I write some articles and involved in some podcasts there. Geek Buddy, the sister website as well. Like I said, I joined you, Benny, on In the Corner, and of course with Scottish Danny, also another shared co-host of ours on Back When, and I'm on the Rewind Wrestling Radio podcast, Standing Strong with Waylon Myers, the Uncensored Wrestling Podcast. And I'm like Jericho, I need a list, but I'm very thankful for it. And I got to plug all those great projects. So thank you. I am genuinely enjoying your weekly report over on WrestleBuddy as well. It's very good, mate. To be fair, very cool to watch. Very quickly before we go, on the note of enjoying certain things, I want to say a huge thank you to both of you fellas for the work you put in to the network, the work you put into this show. Again, like I said, the reason I keep up with WWE, the way I keep up with WWE is by listening to this show. So I want to thank you both so much. I mean, Benny, the solo stuff is awesome. Tyler, I'm a massive fan of everything you do with regards to this show and Back When with Scottish Danny and so on. I absolutely love In the Corner. It's superb, and I hope it just continues and continues and continues. Absolutely brilliant show, gents. Thank you so much for having me on. All right, thank you very much for letting us do it, man, and I appreciate it. Hopefully we can get that Montreal podcast going, or maybe another Raw one, because like you said, ladies and gents, we have barely scratched the surface tonight, just talking a bit of Raw. I think we only got about 10 or 11 out ourselves, I think, to be honest, if that, so I don't even know. But no, it's been great chatting to you both. I very much appreciate it. We will be back tomorrow, me and Tyler, talking some Raw. We're getting our Royal Rumble predictions in, what we think is going to happen, and hopefully enjoy the show. Si, thank you very much. Tyler, also, thank you very much. And follow the show at In the Corner WWE on Twitter. Email the show inthecornerwwe@gmail.com. And we'll see you all on Thursday.